You are about to hear a very unique presentation by a man who is the mentor of thousands of kids and adults all over the world. Jim Tuman, a graduate of Michigan State University and developer of 3 national programs dealing with youth, women, and returning veterans. Jim has appeared on ABC, NBC, CBS National News, The Today Show, Charles Kuralt Morning Show, and The Oprah Winfrey Show. Jim's been featured in Newsweek, USA Today, Business Week, Chicago Sun-Times, Washington Post, Los Angeles Times, Newsday, the Detroit Free Press, Detroit News, and the New York Times. He was invited by 14 world leaders to talk about the breakdown of families. He's been the subject of a nationwide documentary produced and broadcast in Japan. Jim Tuman believes in balance in his life, and so has done such diverse things as being a circus clown, a rodeo rider, symphony musician, cake decorator, and parade enthusiast. He has served as a famine relief worker in Ethiopia, worked as a roadie with the rock group Journey, passed a milestone of speaking to more than 2 million students in more than 1,300 schools nationwide, and was recently named Michiganian of the Year. I hope you enjoy your journey as we join Jim live as it happened.
Who's the most important person you know? 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 Why was it so difficult for all of you to say that you were the most important person that you knew? Every one of you in this room can influence thousands of people in your life. What are you going to be able to give them if you don't feel good enough about yourself to give them something? I was coming back from Chicago after being on the road 5 straight days, working at this level of intensity to groups of 1,000 or more. And I just wanted some time for myself. I just wanted to be alone. And I pulled off, found an empty restaurant, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and wanted to tune out the world. Did not want to talk to one person. And I'm all the way down at the last seat of the counter with a newspaper. When a guy walks in, could have picked any seat at the counter, anyone. Instead, he walked all the way down, sat down right next to me, and started talking. And at first I tuned this guy out. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And I had my head buried in the newspaper, this guy kept on talking. And you know how sometimes when a word or a phrase or a gesture catches you? Turned out, this guy just touched me in such a way, such a special way. Turned out he was right from this area. He'd been a workaholic, 36 years old. Built a small business up in this area into a multi-million-dollar business, a computer business. Had bought all the things he could possibly want. The home on the side of the mountain, the cars, the boats, everything. Walked into his doctor's office about 3 or 4 weeks before he met me. Doctor called him back 2 days later, told him he had leukemia, less than 6 months to live. This guy was absolutely blown away, just could not figure it out why it would have to happen to him. He had all the things he could possibly want, now he didn't have the time to be able to enjoy them. And I was so moved and so touched by this guy. It turned out he took a big, courageous step. He decided he was going to sell everything that he owned, go off around the country, talking to people like me that he never got a chance to talk to, working 16, 18-hour days and seeing all the places that he always dreamed of seeing. And as I said, I was so moved and so touched by this guy that I found myself getting up and giving him a hug. Walked out to the car, got behind the steering wheel, found myself crying. In 1 hour's time, this guy touched me more than people who have been in my life for 30 years. Every one of you has that possibility. What, though, are you going to be able to give them if you don't feel good enough about yourself to give them something? And the unfortunate thing, and I'm real guilty of this too, is that we're all so busy allowing other people to dictate how we should feel about ourselves that we can't see our own value. Let me show you something. What's your first name? Tammy. Tammy, let's assume, Tammy, that everybody in this entire school, Tammy, got together and decided that you were absolutely the ugliest person that they had ever seen. I mean, so rock level ugly that wherever you went, people whispered behind your back and they said, wow, there goes Tammy, she is so ugly. And no matter where you went, people kept on whispering. And even when you went home, your parents locked you in the bedroom for 2 hours because you're so incredibly ugly. Tammy, tell me the truth, honestly. How do you feel if enough people tell you you're ugly? How do you feel if enough people tell you you're ugly? Ugly. Actually, everybody in the room, I picked on Tammy because Tammy's really attractive. So Tammy, let's take the complete opposite side. Let's assume that everybody in the school got together and said, wow, Tammy's a great friend. She's always there when I need her. She always seems to care. She always understands. How do you feel when people tell you you're great? Better. Everyone in the room, what do we do to Tammy in the span of 30 seconds? We've taken her from feeling ugly about herself to feeling great about herself just because all of you guys have decided that's how she should feel. And you buy into it. You allow it to happen. Let me show you something. You got an absolute favorite car in the entire world? Favorite car? Huh?
Yeah.
What kind of car?
Porsche 911.
Porsche 911. Tell me what color?
Red.
Red. Got an absolute favorite car in the entire world?
Ferrari Testarossa white.
Ferrari?
Testarossa.
White?
Yeah.
Okay. You got an absolute favorite car in the entire world? Yeah. What? Lamborghini. Tell me what color?
White.
White. Let's create the ultimate for you guys. Let's assume for a minute that you really own these cars. You really own these cars. And they are absolutely, in your mind, the best possible thing that you could own. The thing that you love the most. And you've taken a whole lot of extra time in the last couple of days and you've polished up those cars. You've done major engine work. And you've driven the cars to school here this morning. And they were all in the parking lot right next to each other. And when I'm through speaking, you've got the keys in your pocket. And you're going to take off someplace. And you're going to pick somebody in the school that you really care about. And you're feeling incredible. You love these cars. Now all three cars are parked right next to each other in the parking lot. Let's take it one step further. Let's assume that I'm driving through the parking lot with this enormous crane with a wrecking ball on the crane. And I get to your Porsche and I swing the wrecking ball back. I go, wham! Rip off the entire front end of that car. Just pull it off. Slam it together like an accordion so the parts of that car are literally all over the parking lot. Then I move over to your Ferrari, conceivably a $100,000, $150,000 car. I take the wrecking ball and just rip off the side doors. Just rip them off. Drop it one more time on the top. So the top is just crunched down. Move over to your Lamborghini, also a $100,000 car. Take the wrecking ball, I swing it back and go wham, wham, wham! Like a riveter, so if there was a back seat to that car, it is now the front seat of the car. There is no insurance on these cars, guys. You got 41 months of payments left. In the case of the three of you, conceivably easily $1,000 a month, maybe more. You guys are standing completely in front of all the wreckage of your cars, spread all over the parking lot. I'm going to get into my car, and as I pass the three of you guys pulling out of the parking lot, I'm going to smile and wave to you guys as I pull out of that parking lot. If there were no consequences whatsoever, What would you want to do to me physically before I got out of that parking lot? What would you want to do to me? Kill me. How would you want to kill me? This whole aside is slowly. If there were no consequences, what would you want to do to me physically before I got out of that parking lot?
Oh, probably drop the crane on you.
What would you do?
Drop your wrecking ball on you.
Drop the wrecking ball on me. Okay? No consequences. What would you want to do to me physically before I got out of that parking lot?
I don't know.
What would you want to do to me physically? Got any ideas? Everybody else in the room's got ideas. What would you want to do to me?
I'd be so mad I wouldn't know what to do.
What would you want to do to me physically, though?
Probably
Kill me. How would you want to kill me?
I'd probably I hit you until I got all the anger out.
You'd probably hit me till you got all the anger out. I want the three of you guys and everybody else in this room to stop and think about this. Stop and think about this. If these cars were the only reason you had friends, if these cars were the only image that everybody else in the world saw you through, if these cars were the only reason people actually liked you for, then I've just destroyed the three of you guys. Your history, you are no more. So if you don't feel good from the inside, if you need the stuff in your life to make you feel good about yourself, somebody at some point in your life can take it all away. Just that simple. This point, by the way, was never driven home clearer to me than 8 years ago when I went over to Naples, Italy, as part of a relief team for the earthquake over there. I had been all over the world photographing natural disasters, but nothing could have prepared me for this. Nothing. Everything people owned was gone in 38 seconds. Everything. Everything. Lives, houses, property, cars, gone in 38 seconds. Imagine you left your house this morning. For whatever reason, you decided, I'll look back, there's something caught my eye in the driveway, I left something on the kitchen table. Imagine what it's like to come home tonight, nothing that you had this morning is still left there. That's what these people felt like. And I would get together at night and do all kinds of community organizing. And I'd ask the same questions. Why would you want to take a chance on rebuilding this? You're right in the middle of the fault line. Why would you take a chance that this could happen again? Same responses, different words, same responses. My friends are here. My family lives down the road. I love living in this village. And I read between the lines what these people were saying was that my friends and family come first and the things I own second. Most of you in this room are saying, hey, this guy's crazy. I'm going to go out and get all the stuff I want now, and then I'll deal with a priority in my life of people first and things second. So let me ask all of you a question. If you can answer this question, I am willing to buy you dinner any place of your choice. Any place of your choice. How do you know? How do you know that you don't only have 6 months to live? How do you know that you only have 6 months to live? I was speaking at a school not more than a few months ago. 2 girls who were supposed to have been at that assembly were killed the night before coming back from a basketball game in the fog. Spoke at a high school last spring. Captain of the football team walked into school one day. 2 friends were fighting with another guy. He went to break up the fight. Somebody put a knife into his gut and he died on the way to the hospital. I am sure those 2 girls did not get up that morning and say, this is the last day of the rest of my life. I am sure that that football player did not get up that morning and say, "This is the last day of the rest of my life." There are no guarantees. No guarantees. Raise your hand in the room if you've been to a funeral in the last year. Now, those of you that just raised your hands, I want you to think about this. Raise your hand again if you went to that funeral in the last year of somebody that died too young or died before their time. It's devastating for all of us in this room, all of us. You see, every one of us magically believes that when we tell a friend, "I'll see you later, I'll talk to you at school tomorrow, I'll see you back at your house," we actually expect that that person's going to be there. And when someone in our life breaks the chain, every one of us in this room realizes that we're only on borrowed time. So if you're waiting in your lives for the time to put the priority of friends and family first, maybe you won't have that time. And as I said before, all of us in this room, we're all so busy allowing other people to tell us whether we're important or not that we can't see our own value. Let me show you something.
Does anybody here have a $20 bill?
Can you do me a favor, stand up for just 1 second, please? No. Can you do me a favor? Can you tear it in half for me, please? Please. Can you sit down? I know people who've compromised their entire lives for this. I know people who've sold out for this. I am not, so that any of you who walks out of this room unclear. I am not saying that that's not important. We run our whole society by that. I am simply saying to all of you in this room, if that is the only thing that motivates you, if that's the only reason that you get up every day for, if that's the only reason that you have to live for, there will never, ever be enough of it. Let me show you something. Could you tell me, please, how many people do you know that are truly fulfilled and happy in their lives? Truly fulfilled and happy. Give me a figure off the top of your head. Half a dozen? How many people do you know in your life? Hundreds? Thousands? Same question. Could I ask you, how many people do you know that are truly fulfilled and happy in their lives? You don't know anyone? How many people do you know in your life? Hundreds? Same question for you. How many people do you know that are truly fulfilled and happy in their lives? 2, 3? How many people do you know in your life? Hundreds? We've got 3 people. They know approximately 8 people in their lives that are truly fulfilled and happy, as opposed to thousands that they know. Want to know what that means to all of you in this room? Based on those odds? Listen to the odds. There's maybe 1,000 of you in this room. Maybe 2 of you, maybe 3 of you in this whole room are going to be fulfilled and happy in their lives. Is it going to be you? 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 Who knows? And who knows how much time you've got to deal with it? Again, no guarantees. No guarantees. Raise your hand in the room if you come from a divorced family. Now some of you, raise your hand individually. Tell me, why do you think there's so many divorces in this country today? Anyone? Why do you think there's so many divorces? Yeah. I'm sorry, what? Family's not important. Why do you think there's so many divorces in this country today? Anybody else? Yes. Lack of communication. Yes, why do you think? They don't feel the same about each other. Anybody else? Why do you think there's so many divorces in this country today? Yes. They get married for the wrong reasons. Anyone else? Why do you think? Why do you think there's so many divorces? Yeah. Get married too young, yes. Too much what? Too much excitement out there. It's the first time I've heard that, but that's great. Anybody else? Why do you think there's so many divorces in this country today? Yeah, in the back. Money? Money issues, yeah. Yes. They don't what? They don't love themselves. One more. Anybody else want to take a shot at it? Yeah. Priorities are wrong. Yes, last one. They're not willing to struggle. Okay? For the dozen or so of you that just responded, and everybody else in this room, let me ask you a question. Think people really know each other before they get married? What's the first thing all of us in this room do when we meet somebody? We try to impress them. We try to tell them the best of who we are. People meet on the basis of that impression. They fall in love on the basis of that impression, get married on the basis of that impression, and then wake up one day and a completely different person has emerged. Somebody who they don't even know. I have a good friend of mine in Detroit who's a divorce court judge. He says the biggest reason that people have for being in his courtroom is that the other person changed. The other person didn't change. The other person was in there in the first place. We're too busy wearing the mask. Spoke at a high school near Chicago. An interesting thing happened. Guy was captain of the wrestling team. All-state wrestler. Had gotten tons of press. He got up in front of the whole school. And he said to everybody in the room, he says, how many of you guys know me? Every hand raised. This guy was amazingly popular. He said, none of you know me. And he proceeded to tell people who he was inside. Some of his fears, some of his insecurities, some of the things he was dealing with. And when he got through speaking, 50 people were moved to come out of the stands to pat him on the back, to tell him how great he was, that he was willing to be real, tell him how much it meant to them. Where's that introduction sheet? It's over here. This lengthy introduction sheet that was read at the beginning of the talk is not me, gang. It's not me. It's the things I did in my life. It's not the person who I am. Person who I am was out behind the gym here before, pacing back and forth. Also in one of the offices since 8 o'clock, pacing back and forth, trying to get the courage to come out in front of all of you. You see, I changed schools 5 times between grade school and high school. And it left me with so many fears and so many insecurities that it's difficult for me to get out in front of a group of people. It's even more difficult for me to meet you one-to-one. If you had a party in this gym and I didn't know any of you, I'd walk through the doors, probably look around at some of the things on the wall, maybe go over and get some food. and leave because it's too difficult for me to walk up to somebody and say, "Hi, my name is Jim," or say hello to somebody. I came in last night from Atlanta, Georgia, on a large Airbus that holds 300 people. And the plane was packed, it was oversold. And there were people literally all around me. And every seat was filled. Flight was 4.5 hours. I sat there for 4.5 hours, not being able to talk to the person either on the right of me or the left of me, waiting for them to open up and talk to me first. The only time I ever talked to them was to ask one of them to please get up so I could just walk up and down the aisles a little bit, because it's too difficult for me to start a conversation, to say hello to somebody. Many of you in this room are struggling with that. Many of you in this room are wearing the masks. Raise your hand in the room if you have a best friend. Now raise your hand individually and tell me, what makes that person a best friend to you? Anybody? What makes that person a best friend to you? Someone. Yes. They're nice. Great. Yes. You're able to talk about anything that you want to. Yes. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. They can be themselves. You can be yourself with them. Yes. Anyone else? What makes that person a best friend to you? Yes. They're honest. Yes. They like you for who you are. Yes. They support you in everything. Yes. They're real. Anybody else? What makes that person a best friend to you? Yes. Always listens to you. Anyone else over here? What makes that person a best friend to you? In the back, yes. They what? You don't feel like you have to hide anything. One more. What makes that person? Yeah, in the back. The only person you know that you can really trust. Why? Why didn't any of you in this room mention the grades that person had, the clubs they belonged to, the sports they played, the cars they drove, the money that they did or didn't have? Does it matter? Not important? Then why do we believe that it's so important? And let me show you something else that's not important. If you were killed tonight on the way home in an automobile accident, and we were having a memorial service in this gym for you, would you want people to only remember you for the Porsche? I want people to remember you
Who I was.
for who you were. If you were killed tonight on the way home in an automobile accident, and we were having that memorial service in this room for you, would you want people to only remember you for the Ferrari?
No.
I want people to remember you
Who I was.
for who you were. If you were killed tonight on the way home in an automobile accident, and we were having that memorial service in this room for you, would you want people to only remember you for the Lamborghini?
No.
You want people to remember you. Isn't it interesting, everybody in the room? Isn't it interesting? Not more than 10 minutes ago, these three guys were prepared to kill me slowly. To take the wrecking ball to my head over 3 cars that they don't want to be remembered for. Isn't it interesting that they were prepared to kill me slowly over 3 cars that they don't want to be remembered for? We complicate our lives. It is so simple, so simple. Stop. Every one of you in this room, stop for 5 seconds. If you walk out of this assembly with nothing else but this, stop for 5 seconds and think, how do I want the people in my life who I love and who love me to remember me? How do I want the people in my life who I love and who love me to remember me? If some of you in this room want to be remembered as a great friend, put that one up at the top of the list in your life and live it out. If some of you in this room want to be remembered as somebody that cared, put that one at the top of the list in your life and live it out. If some of you in this room want to be remembered as somebody that was there when people needed you, put that one at the top of the list in your life and live it out. That is not to say don't go after a lot of money. That is not to say don't get a great job. That is not to say don't have a ton of friends. I am simply saying to every one of you in this room, stop for 5 seconds and think, how do I want the people in my life who I love and who love me to remember me? And hope against hope that you guys got the time to live that one out.